Hi, thanks for joining me today. We're continuing our Fourth Amendment discussion, and we have been talking a lot about probable cause and what probable cause is. This time we'll be switching gears a little bit, but probable cause is still a very important concept for what we're talking about right now. So we're switching gears and we're going to be talking about the warrant requirement. Now, in general, a warrant would make a search reasonable under the Fourth Amendment, and a search without a warrant would be presumptively unreasonable. And there's a lot of exceptions to the warrant requirement, but that's just kind of a basic starting point. Is if there's a warrant, the search and everything is okay with the warrant, then the search is likely a reasonable search. Whereas if there's no warrant, then we're starting from the point of, okay, this search was unreasonable, but there's still a lot of analysis that needs to be done in that situation. The evidence that's obtained would not necessarily be inadmissible in court. So the first thing that is important to know about a search warrant is that there must be probable cause for a warrant to issue. And the way that a warrant would issue is a police officer or whatever investigating government agency submits a affidavit to a judge along with a search warrant to be signed. And what that affidavit does is it lays out how the officer thinks that there's probable cause in a particular case. Sometimes it'll talk a lot about the officer's training and experience, things that they know from their own experience, facts that they know about a particular person or the place that they're trying to search. Maybe they've seen people come out and they have drugs from a residence or things like that. They just lay out, or at least they're supposed to lay out all of the facts that they would know as to why they want to search a particular place. But this leads to another important point as to what are the components of a search warrant. And well, there's that affidavit that I was just describing, but then that is given to the judge in order to get a search warrant. So a search warrant and then the affidavit are two separate things. What the warrant has to contain in it is it needs to explain the area that is to be searched and the items that are to be seized. And it needs to do so with a certain level of particularity, right? In the search warrant, it should give, if the search is going to be an address, it should give the address. It should give describing features of the house or the buildings that are to be searched. If there are multiple buildings on a property and the search warrant says authorizes a search of the main house, then that does not necessarily authorize a search of, say, the gardening shed that's out in the back or some other, some barn that's somewhere else. So the warrant itself has to explain with particularity the area to be searched, and it also needs to explain with particularity the items to be seized. It should list out, if the police officers are going to be seizing some digital equipment, then it should list out cameras, computers, USB drives, and so on and so forth. It can't just say we're searching this property for evidence of a crime. That would be a general warrant, and that is not allowed under the Fourth Amendment. It needs to be particular as to what exactly is being searched and what exactly is being seized. So that's just a general rundown on the warrant requirement and what's required in the warrant. And the biggest takeaways are probable cause is required for a warrant to issue. A warrant is issued by a judge, and there's two documents. There's the affidavit, where a police officer would describe all the facts that they think lead to probable cause, and then there's the warrant, which is what the judge approves based off of the affidavit. The judge is the one who makes the determination of probable cause, not the police officer. And then finally, the warrant itself, not the affidavit. The affidavit can have this information, but the warrant itself must have the area to be searched and the items to be seized. And the warrant should also have the time of when this search is going to take place. a judge shouldn't issue a warrant that a police officer can just hold on to for months and months, and then finally serve the search warrant at some random time. So thanks again for joining me today. We're going to be staying on this topic of search warrants for a while, and then be getting into the areas and specific instances where a search warrant is not required, all those exceptions, and there are a number of them. So we're going to be on this topic for a while. And remember, if you have any questions or think that what we're talking about in these videos might apply to a case that you're involved in, make sure you're consulting with an attorney to get the best advice you can. Thank you.